What's up, home bartenders? Today we're going to attempt to recreate one of the long-lost cocktail ingredients, Kina Lillet. Let's do it. So Kina Lillet was a French wine aperitif created in 1887, and it was a combination of Bordeaux wines with cinchona bark, which gives you the quinine flavor, and citrus liqueurs. It was inspired by the popularity of medicinal quinine tonics of the time that were used to prevent malaria. So in the 1980s, consumer preference changed from bitter liqueurs towards sweeter liqueurs. So in 86, the recipe for Kina Lillet was reformulated into what we know nowadays as Lillet Blanc. Lillet also released a Lillet Rouge and a Lillet Rosé to complement different wine flavors, and those actually significantly or completely omit the quinine. So in recent years, with the rise of popularity of craft cocktails, people are yearning for that original Kina Lillet flavor. There are some substitutes. I'm told that Coca Americano is a really good substitute and that has a bit more of that pronounced bitterness of the Kina Lillet, but I can't get Coca Americano either. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna attempt to recreate to some degree. Obviously I don't have the actual recipe, but we're gonna do our best to do our own version of the original Kina Lillet. All right, let's take a look at the ingredients. So this is a fortified wine liqueur. So we have to start with a wine. You want a dry white wine. I've got here a local Sauvignon Blanc from Jackson Triggs. And then we're going to fortify it, which means add alcohol, using these spirits and liqueurs right here. So we've got a brandy. You don't need anything super fancy, but the brandy is gonna work. We're gonna do some Cointreau because we want a bit of that citrus orange zing, and I've also got a little bit of citrus vodka that I infuse myself. These are kind of do the same thing, so you don't need to use both if you don't want, but the recipe I'm using calls for a orange liqueur as well as a citrus vodka. But I don't think they're gonna do much different. You can use a Grand Marnier or a dry Curacao, but since we're already adding brandy anyways, I figured no need. Okay, for our bittering agents, I've got some red cinchona bark. Cinchona is what gives you that quinine flavor, so that's what you need. You absolutely need the cinchona. Technically, there are different varieties of cinchona. I have the red cinchona, it's what I'm able to get. Apparently the yellow is more potent, has more of that bitterness, but I can't get it, so we're gonna use the red. And the red just has a darker flavor, so our finished product is gonna be a little darker in color than the Lillet Blanc, but that's fine. We're also going to use a tiny bit of gentian to give it some extra bitterness. I don't want it to be gentian liqueur, so we're not going to go too heavy with the gentian. Primarily going to be the cinchona. And finally, the peel of one lemon and some sugar. All right, let's start assembling.
Okay, so first we need our dry white wine. Make sure it's something good. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc, and we want 400 ml of our dry white wine. There we go. To that, we're gonna add 60 ml of brandy, that's 2 ounces. So again, any brandy, you don't have to go fancy here. We also want 1 ounce of Cointreau or any orange liqueur, 30 ml. And 1 ounce of a citrus vodka. Again, as I mentioned before, both of these ingredients are very similar. You could probably get away with just using one, so 2 ounces of orange liqueur or 2 ounces of citrus vodka will probably work just as well. After that, we're gonna do the peel of 1 lemon. You could do lemon, half orange, but that's what I decided to do because I had a lemon. All right, to a vacuum seal bag. I'm doing sous vide, but you could add this to a mason jar if you wanted. But we've got our lemon peels, we've got some sugar, 25 grams. We've also got some cinchona bark and a little bit of gentian root. We're then gonna add all that white wine mixed with the spirits and liqueurs. There we go. Okay, as I mentioned, this is going to be vacuum sealed and sous vide. If you're doing a mason jar infusion, you're gonna let that sit for anywhere from 4 to 7 days. If you're using sous vide like me, we're gonna go at 135 Fahrenheit for about 2 hours. Okay, just drop that in. I like to use a spoon or something here to hold it down, make sure it stays submerged the whole time. Okay, There it is. 2 hours later, we're going to remove the bag, let it cool completely, and then we want to cut into it and strain out all those little bits so that we're just getting that wonderfully infused wine aperitif.
The aroma coming off of this is quite something. Let's give it a try. That's very familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Hey, that's really friggin' nice. Again, I have no idea what the original Kina Lillet tasted like, so it's kind of hard to put there's a bitterness. It's not super pronounced. Wine flavor is really there. It's not overly, it's fortified, but the brandy is not, you're not picking up too much brandy. It really is that wine and then the quinine and that bitterness, which is not, it's not punch you in the face, you know, gentian bitterness or Campari style bitterness. There's a fruit on the tail end from the wine, and then there's that which I can only describe as the quinine, which it's bringing back memories of like old school wine coolers, old school wine cooler drinks that were like non-alcoholic. Maybe they had quinine in them. Maybe they were tonic based, and but yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Like these flavored tonic waters that had quinine in them. But this is really friggin' good. Wow, I could drink this straight. Really happy with the flavor. Let's bottle it. All right, let's compare it to the current Lillet Blanc. Obviously, I can't compare it to Kina Lillet because it doesn't exist anymore. So I'm gonna go. I mean, it's just so much sweeter. It's wine, it's fortified, so there is a stronger alcohol there. Not much more syrupy. Some of these aperitifs are very syrupy. This one, Lillet, is not. It's quite thin and clean. Very fruity. A hint of bitterness. I can't even tell if it's quinine. With a hint of bitterness on the back end, but so much sweeter. And then this just has that wonderful, oh wow. I'm really impressed with this one. That quinine flavor, it is a bitterness, but it's not an unpleasant bitterness. And it's a very rich flavor. Let's make a Vesper.
3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of Kina Lillet. Shake it over ice and then add a thin slice of lemon peel.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'll have one of those.
So will I.
There it is, James Bond's Vesper Martini to spec, 3 parts gin, 1 part vodka, half part Kina Lillet. So as you can tell, it's a little darker than a traditional martini. That's because my Kina is very opaque and darker than probably what the original was. And the martini itself is partially cloudy. That's because of the shaking. There's another reason you don't shake a martini is you're aerating it so much. All those tiny little air bubbles, they stay in suspension a lot longer. So your martini doesn't look as clean as it's supposed to. When you stir a martini, you don't get that. So, but here it is. I will say that's a damn good martini. I didn't think I'd like it. I thought it was gonna be way too strong. That is remarkably smooth. For having 4 freaking ounces of booze in here and just a half an ounce of our Kina, that is remarkably smooth. I still don't know what that ounce of vodka is doing. Some people say it helps balance out the gin. Maybe. I would have thought it would just dilute the gin, so like why not just go 4 ounces of gin? But maybe that's what it's doing. Maybe it's toning it down. You're still getting the nuances of the gin. This doesn't feel like a vodka martini, which is complete nonsense. And you are getting, I am getting the quinine from the Kina Lillet, so I am getting that bitter quinine, little bit of the fruitiness of the wine. You know, I wonder if shaking it makes it this good. I wonder if it would feel stronger, because obviously you're diluting more when you shake as opposed to stirring, because you're really violently breaking up that ice and agitating everything. So maybe James Bond is onto something. Maybe shaking it is the way to go. I don't know. See, it is clearing up now. Those little air bubbles are dissipating. They're still there, but they're dissipating mainly, so it's looking a lot clearer now. Yeah. So, damn, that's a really good martini. I'm not a big martini guy, but this is a freaking good martini. Don't ruin it by putting olives in here, please. Yeah, a martini this clean, this bright and refreshing, the hint of quinine bitterness and fruit from the wine, it deserves a lemon twist garnish. Any of that salty brine will just ruin it. Please don't put olives in here. Wow, that's probably one of the best martinis I've ever had. Okay, so I was not expecting that. This is fantastic. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you give the homemade Kina Lillet a try. If you've only ever had Lillet Blanc, this is quite different, especially if you make it yourself. You can tweak it to your liking. I'm really happy with the results. Do you have any cocktails that you'd like to see me make with the Kina Lillet? I mean, it could just be any classic Lillet cocktails like a Corpse Reviver. I've made the Corpse Reviver multiple times with my Lillet Blanc. Be interesting to do it with the Kina Lillet. Otherwise, leave those in the comments. And remember, guys, very important, this is a wine-based aperitif, so it must be stored in the fridge. For everyone out there who follows me and makes some of my liqueurs, don't put this on your bar shelf. Put this in the fridge. In terms of how long it'll last, I want to say 3 months minimum, but who knows? So just check it every now and then. Use it. You know, don't let it sit for a year. Use it and enjoy it. All right. If you want to see some other awesome liqueurs, we've made some bitter liqueurs. We made gentian liqueur. We've made a homemade blood orange Campari. Check out this playlist of homemade liqueurs. If you want to see me make some cocktails with the Lillet, click this video here. It's not there yet, but if you're watching this at a later date, it'll be there. Otherwise, guys, we will see you in the next one. Cheers.